Hey everyone, I am Sarah Ackerman Hale, and I am here to get you through another session of professional development today. FYI, it's right now, it is like seriously getting ready to storm outside of my house. I'm watching the trees blow like crazy, and my phone is blowing up. Some family members going, hey, it's supposed to hail in your area. So anyway, needless to say, hopefully everything is okay. And we can get through this next session without having to go into the basement, but I'm here to serve. So if I have to drag you guys down to my basement with me, I will. Hopefully you guys are safe where you're at too. So my name is Sarah Ackerman Hale. I'm an instructional coach at Rising Star Elementary, and next year I will be coaching full-time at Mill Creek Elementary. I've been with Shawnee Mission for 6 years now, and and I love it. So I'm a Google certified educator, level 1 and level 2. And I'm working on my trainer application. I've been working on that for a year. I just haven't gotten around to finishing it yet. So anyway, so a few little housekeeping things about our session today about next level Google Forms is you might want to watch the webinar on your iPad or on your phone, and then you can take notes and navigate links on your MacBook, or if you're kind of adept with toggling between screens or splitting your screens, you can do that. But I find it's always helpful to be able to have two screens up so that I can just sort of see the presentation but then have the freedom to be working on my MacBook. I'm hoping that this session is, if you were in my first session, that was very much like a tutorial kind of session, like how to. This session is not so much that. This session is more about getting creative with how Google Forms can take your teaching to the next level and just like push your skills. It's pushed mine as I was preparing for this webinar with you guys. So if you have a question or a comment, you can use the, let me say this, don't use the raise hand feature. If you've got a question or a comment, you can chat it and other participants can respond and I can respond. And also, I highly recommend you use the Q&A feature, and then I'll get your questions answered if you use that Q&A feature. It might not be immediate, but like I'll try to pause throughout the presentation and answer those questions. Google Chrome is what the browser you're going to want to use because Google plays best with Google. So if you typically use Safari or Firefox or something like that for your internet browser, today is not the day to do that. You're going to want to use Google Chrome, again, I don't know how much you'll be working this. I have not presented this session before. It's a new little baby of mine, and so again, it's going to be a lot of us, hopefully us talking and having a conversation back and forth. If you haven't seen already in the chat links, there's a link to the notes and hyperlinks document that I had tried to make a bit.ly for it, and for some reason the bit.ly isn't working today. So, so you can copy and paste that URL. It's in a post from me, it says in the chat, and it says link for notes and hyperlinks for all the resources. So you just copy that URL code into your browser in Google Drive to get it. So just go to your chat. And in fact, if you guys need me, I'll post it again. Some people are saying they can't see it. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see it now. Okay. So if you're here at this survey, here in this class for the first time, you need, your prior knowledge is you need to be able to make a survey and a quiz in Google Forms. You need to be able to like view the results of your Google Forms. You've got to have that basic foundation of knowledge, I think, to not feel completely overwhelmed in this session, because I'm going to throw some stuff at you guys that's kind of like some big ideas and for how you can take Google Forms further. And I'm going to do that with under the assumption that you know how to make a form, a basic form. And so if you can't make a basic form yet, then here's what I would suggest you do. Stay with me. stay here, just watch the webinar, enjoy. I'll try to throw in some jokes. They won't be good, but I'll do my best. Stay here and then get inspired about all the things you're going to learn to do. And then I'm going to post my webinar that I gave at 8:30 this morning on Shawnee Mission's on-demand learning platform. Plus there's like a billion Google Forms tutorials on YouTube. So you could do one of those. But if you want to spend time with me and my sparkling personality, then you can do the on-demand session. So again, also Google Learning Center has amazing, amazing tutorials that really teach you the ins and outs of how to use their tools. I cannot say enough about that. So I created a doc that I shared with you guys, the link in the chat box, and it's got links to everything. Whenever you see text that's like in blue and underlined on the screen, that's a link. Since you're looking at a Zoom meeting, you can't click on the link from there, but you can click on the link from the doc. The doc also has a link to this presentation. So if you want to follow along the presentation with me, but follow along with it in Google Slides where the links are there, you can do that too. Okay. So a little bit about me. Like I said already, I'm an instructional coach at Rising Star. I'll be at Mill Creek next year. I received my master's in instructional technology last summer from Fort Hays University, and I'm currently working on my EDS and educational leadership. So here's where I want to give you guys some credibility about the way I talk about the Google suite of products. I did so much of my research as in instructional technology, and my instructional technology program was centered around academic outcomes of technology. And I truly believe that professional development is the key to effective use of technology in our classrooms. We need more professional development. So that's what we're here today to do, to learn how to use these tools in an innovative way that just, sort of like force our students to be more creative and writing more and all sorts of things we're going to talk about. So just a few things I got to say about myself so that you know me. I see everything in the world through the ends of the show, The Office. I've watched it like 9 times. But I also equally love Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Harry Potter. I don't discriminate. I'm a huge podcast listener. I love to cook and I listen to podcasts when I cook. And right now, my favorite murder, it is like legit, love it. So anyway, you can also see me reading Harry Potter every day on Facebook on my page Teacher in a Coffee Shop. So I have a little quiz for you guys. Get us started here today, wake you up. So I'm gonna launch our little, it's not a quiz, it's a poll. I'm gonna launch our poll. My question for you is, what are you hoping to get out of today's webinar on Google Forms? So your answers are anonymous, post away. I'll give you guys a few seconds to choose what you're hoping to get out of this, and hopefully I can glean some insight about what you guys are wanting to do. So far, no one is saying that they were forced to be here against their will. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I'm happy for you. A lot of you are looking for new ways to use Google Forms and learn about hidden features. You want some time to create, so I will do my best to get us there doing that. Great, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll just because that's just a quick thing and I can show you guys the results. So this is kind of a neat feature of Zoom webinars, is this polling feature, which is, I call it a hooks and bridges activity. It's that's from the book Tools for Classroom Instruction That Works. And they talk a lot about using polls to get kids into whatever it is that you're talking about. So what you're going to be learning about for the day. But now I know what you guys are here for, and you came to the right place. So let's see. Okay. So I hope that you guys walk away today being able to use a Google form, and that you can teach others how to use it, and that you can use Google Forms to engage your students. I know engagement is huge right now. We're just trying to think of ways to be a game show host on the internet so that we can get people to engage in our content. So maybe with this Google Forms, you can create some adventures that get your kids excited about learning. That you can use Google Forms to differentiate and your instruction and promote personalized learning. So I think Google Forms are just the tool to do that for sure. And that you can build formative assessments. If you are here in this session, a lot of these targets you already can do, but we're going to take it to the next level. Okay, guys, every time it gets me. So the thing is that when you go to make your own, choose your own adventure or your own amazing race or escape room with Google Forms, it's kind of like an act of doing parkour on the computer. And it feels a little crazy. I have to admit, I spent almost the entire day yesterday working my way through a Lewis and Clark amazing race with Google Forms, and it was fun. I wanted to be able to do one before I talked to you guys about doing it, and but it felt like parkour, so that's why I shared that video. Okay, so if you were in my last session, you kind of heard me talk about this, but so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but Google Forms can be used for so many things beyond surveys and quizzes and exit tickets, which are probably the first things that you think of when you think about using a Google Form. Some of the other creative ways that you can use Google Forms just on sort of a daily basis to keep your classroom up and running and functioning, things humming along smoothly, are using it for like sign-up sheets, having kids sign up for things, having parents sign up for things, making sign out sheets. So you can use it for like when kids want to check books out from the classroom library, writing lesson plans. You can go ahead and put your standards, your objectives into a Google form. You could put learning strategies, Kagan strategies that you want to use with those lessons. And you could make it so that you just click the items and then what comes out is your lesson plan. That's your results. So you can use Google Forms not just with the outside world, but just with yourself as a management tool. You can use them for like reading logs, exercise logs, experiment logs, so that you've got nice controlled data, that you're tracking your data the same way each time. That works great in science. And we're going to talk today about these other really cool ways to use Google Forms by making a choose your own adventure story, an amazing race, an escape room, those kinds of things. I use Google Forms a lot with my students at the teacher table when I taught 5th grade for like my writing and reading conferences. So I would check in with the students, make notes in a Google form, and it kept track of everything really nicely. So they can be used for so many, I mean, if you need data, this is a way to gather data. Just think of it that way. Anytime you need data in some way, shape, or form. I got a lot of these ideas from Matt Miller's blog called Ditch That Textbook. He has a book by the same name, and he also has a podcast called Google Teacher Tribe that I absolutely love and have listened to many episodes. So, okay. So what makes a Google form activity next level, like today? Why is this any different than just like a survey or a quiz or something like that? Well, we're going to talk today about add-ons that Google Forms has. They're these third-party companies that have designed tools to make Google Forms a little bit easier. I'm not going to teach you how to use each one. I'm going to kind of just take you through a guided tour of them, and then I'll give you time to play around with them. Quiz features, we're going to talk about access codes, answer keys, assigning points, and response validation, which is really cool. And those are factors that are going to play into building an amazing race style Google form. And then also another key thing that you're going to want to walk away today with is the understanding of how sections work and the ability to use logic branching. So when you're creating a choose your own adventure story, it's like, do I go this way or do I go this way? And the Google form branches out based on how you design it, okay? So some of the add-ons that I'd like to talk about today are, let's see, oops, before I do that, I want to check and see if we've got any questions. Okay, no. So some of the add-ons I want to talk about today are ones that have been whitelisted by our district. There's a lot more add-ons out there that you can get for Google Forms, but the add-ons, a lot of them are blocked by the district. So when I discovered the first add-on that I used was Flubaroo back in the day, and Flubaroo is not really needed anymore because Google Forms gives you the ability to put an answer key with each one of your questions and grade your quiz from right within the Google form. So Flubaroo was a grading add-on. Some people still use it because it's just what they know, but I don't see it as really needed anymore because Google Forms now has the functionality to grade the quiz itself. But Flubaroo was the first add-on that I used, and then I discovered DocAppender. And DocAppender was sort of that first, it really gave me that taste of wanting to go deeper into Google's tools. I heard about it on the Google Teacher Tribe podcast. They were talking about it, and I was like, what is this thing? It sounds so amazing. And then as soon as I got the chance, I tried it out with my students, and it was really cool. I'm going to talk about it in a second. First, I'll talk about the first two add-ons that are really neat. You can say goodbye to Sign Up Genius, guys. Say goodbye to it. You can do a Google form. It's easier, quicker. There aren't any ads on it. It's really great. Use Choice Eliminator Lite. So with this add-on, what it allows you to do is if you do a sign up for like parent-teacher conferences, say you put all your time slots into your Google form, you use the add-on Choice Eliminator Lite, which you're going to find by just clicking on this little puzzle piece. And then, now mine was already there because I think the district had gone ahead and like whitelisted them for everybody. But if you don't see it, you just go to the add-ons store and then just find Choice Eliminator Lite and add it to your account. So you go to Choice Eliminator Lite, and then what happens is that when somebody goes to sign up for a parent-teacher conference time, let's say they pick 4 o'clock, well, now the next person who fills out the form, 4 o'clock isn't going to be there anymore. That choice was eliminated. You can also use it for like say you've got a group projects and you've got topics, and you're going to let groups sign up for topics, but you don't want groups to do the same topic. Same thing. You could just put your topics there. As soon as one group signs up for a topic, that choice has been eliminated. It's a great little add-on for your Google Forms. And like I said, it just eliminates the need for Sign Up Genius. And I learned about it for this presentation. And I was so excited about it when I saw it. So let me tell you a little bit about DocAppender, the next presentation. DocAppender is an add-on that allows you to create a running feedback form, a Google Doc that's a running feedback form for students. So here's how I used DocAppender. First, I had to create a Google document for every single one of my students, and I put their name on the Google Doc. So that took some time. That was at the beginning of the year. I made a Google Doc for each student. But then what I was able to do was that when we did work with the Google form that was tied to that Google Doc, I used the DocAppender add-on, and it sent the feedback directly to the student. So like what I had used it for was we were working on the engineering design process. I taught 5th grade science, and I really wanted I wanted the kids to know whether or not they were meeting the objectives for each step of the engineering design process. So what I would do is I use the same feedback form every single time. Were they able to do it? Could they not? And I used the like 1, 2, 3, 4, I think that's Marzano's rating scale, to give them feedback. And so that feedback form went directly to this Google Doc, and then the student could pull that document up at any time on through their Google Drive and see where they were and see that feedback from me. And they could also see how they had improved over time. So it was like we had our own little data notebook going through that Google Doc on their ability to achieve the objectives of the engineering design process. It was pretty cool. I was kind of like geeking out about it. Okay, so you've got a question that came in. And they said, I don't see DocuPender on my forms. Is there a way to add it? Yes. Okay, so I'll go ahead and show you guys. If you're not seeing DocuPender, I'll go ahead and show you how to add it. I'm not going to take you through the whole process of using DocuPender, because that could be like a 30-minute long tutorial. There's tutorials on YouTube about it. But to get an add-on, the basic way that you do it is I'm going to go ahead and open up a form. By the way, if you keep seeing Hagrid's face, it's because I have a Hagrid cursor. It's his pink umbrella and it's Hagrid's face. So if you're not a Harry Potter person, you won't get it. But if you are, I see you. Okay, so to get your add-on, you are going, I've got to find it. Okay, so to get your add-on, you're going to click on these 3 little dots up here at the top, and you go click on add-ons, and it will take you to the little add-on shop on Google, okay? And my internet is deciding to be really slow right now. So the add-ons will come up, and you just find the add-on you want to use. And like I said, our district has blocked a lot of these. So because they're third parties, and so if there's one that you find that you really want to use, look at the ratings, look it over, see if you like it, and then put in a help ticket request, kind of like an app request. Put in a help ticket, and then the help desk will look and see if it's from like a trusted source, whether we can have it on district devices. And if it's approved, then it'll get whitelisted and you can download it. But then there should be like a little download button for you to install that onto your Google Forms. And then once it's installed to your account, it's always, the add-on will always be there. You just click your little puzzle piece, and then all your add-ons show up there. Okay. So somebody said, install disabled by admin. So if you're getting that message, like I said, let's maybe if a lot of you are getting that message for DocuPender, send me a message and I'll put in a collective help desk ticket for all of us, because I know I've gotten it whitelisted for my account. So that's something we got to work on, because these add-ons are really cool and they add some awesome functionality. Somebody asked what add-on grades a quiz. I'll go ahead and answer that one. So an add-on to grade your quiz, you don't need an add-on for it. Your Google form will grade your quiz automatically for you, as long as you set up your answer key within Google Forms. So that I would refer you back to my 8:30 webinar that will be posted on the on-demand, or there's tutorials for, just look up Google Forms quizzes on YouTube, and there's some quick tutorials that'll show you how to grade a Google form. Somebody asked again where the store was. So if you click on the 3 little dots up the top right-hand corner of your screen, when you've got a form open, click at get add-ons, and then that's where you go to the store. Okay, I think I just answered that one. Okay, so that's DocuPender. Form notifications, I'm just gonna go through these kind of quickly. That one allows you to send in an automatic email response when somebody fills out a form. That can be helpful for like, I don't know. I mean, a lot of times businesses would use that. Form Publisher allows you to create a workflow with your docs and build PDFs. I haven't used that one before. Form Ranger allows you to auto-populate choices from multiple choice. So I know that Google already does that somewhat. It gives you like yes, no, maybe, but Form Limiter, I think, gives you more options for that. Form Recycler allows you bring forms together. So if you have like two forms that you kind of want to merge together into a new form, that allows you to do that. Timeify Me is an add-on that would allow you to put a time limit on a test. So if you, and then I think students can see like how much longer they've got as they're filling out their Google form. So that might be kind of nice if you're in this virtual space that you've got kids in, if you want to make sure kind of the kids are doing the exit ticket themselves, and maybe not, you know, recruiting all their friends for help with, so they're not really showing their own knowledge. I don't know. So that's just a quick drive through of the add-ons. Like I said, the ones that I have used in the past are DocuPender and Flubaroo, but Choice Eliminator is my next one that I'm gonna for sure be using. Okay, so next, you know what, I forgot that I made a slide for how to get add-ons. Well, here it is, it's in your presentation. So you click the three little dots, click add-ons, it'll take you to the store, and then you will be able to get your app. If you get this message from the district that says it's been disabled, you can put in a help desk ticket to see if you can get that app whitelisted for you, or that add-on whitelisted for you. Okay, so really quick, somebody had asked me how I got my my wand and my Hagrid. So my umbrella wand. It's pretty fun. I'll show you guys that really fast. I love Google Chrome extensions. I live by them. I have a Bitmoji extension here that allows me to easily put Bitmojis into any Google Doc that I'm working in. So Cami is one that I use a lot to be able to write on PDFs and highlight text in PDFs. I use that one for college quite a bit for my EDS program. But this one that I've got for my cursor, it's called Custom Cursor. And so if you just type in your Chrome Web Store and then type in Custom Cursor, you just go to you sign up for Custom Cursor, and then they've got tons and tons and tons of cursors. One of my other favorite ones that I use a lot is Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda's like so legit. I also I have the Jean-Luc Picard Star Trek one where he's in the face palm. So anyway, they're fun. And you know, I think like your kids might really get a kick out of them. And we always want to see cool in front of our students, right? Okay. So somebody said, just to clarify, are we putting in a whole group ticket? Well, so Lisa Redmond asked this question, are we putting in a whole group ticket? So it sounds like lots of people are struggling with getting DocuPender. So I will tell you guys this, I'm gonna put in a ticket and say, we're having a district-wide issue with not being able to get this app. You are free to put in your own ticket too. Sometimes when they get it from multiple people, it bumps it up the importance chain. But I also, at the same time, feel for our help desk, and I don't want to bombard them right now. So I'm going to let you decide if you want to put in a ticket, but I will definitely put in a ticket for us, okay? All right, so another question we've got here. If you could put your picture at the bottom of the page because you're right on top of, so you can actually move around where you see my face on Zoom webinars. So you can click on where the faces are, and if my face is somewhere where you don't want it to be, you can move me around. So I know that that's kind of hard to do. You can also change your view, and I believe you might even be able to get rid of me. So I answered that one. Okay. And we answered that one. Great. Okay. We are answering questions. We are here to serve. All right. Amazing race. Okay, guys. So here is the amazing moment. We are going to talk about a way to use Google Forms on another level with an amazing race. This can be such a fun way to take your students' learning to the next level. And I've heard about it. I've listened to podcasts about it, and I'm going to be. I want complete transparency. I have not used this with students yet, but I just know it would be amazing, and they'd have a blast doing it. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to try one ourselves. I think that the best way to just kind of get started in this is to do an amazing race yourself. You're not going to have time to go through the whole entire thing, but let's go ahead and try. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this URL link, into the chat, because I think that might be easier to make sure you guys can get to it. But it is in your Google Doc, just in case you're not there. And copy it and go to chat. And I'll paste this link. And then let's all go ahead and take some time, and we're going to explore this sample, Amazing Race, okay? So if you can just click on the link, I just posted it in the chat. And I did, just for all transparency, I did not do this Amazing Race. So I did not create this, but I think it's pretty cool. They use a combination of Google and Google Maps through it. So I'm going to give you guys just a few minutes to explore this Amazing Race. And if you're seeing, oh, somebody said they didn't see the link. I know why you didn't see the link. Thank you, Amanda, for letting me know that. Okay. This is where I'm going to try to stop talking for a little bit and let you guys just explore, but it's hard because it feels very quiet and weird when I don't talk. I hope you guys are having fun on your race. I'm not going to go much farther than this, but I'll give you guys a few more minutes to explore and see how far you can get. Feel free to add some thoughts into the chat about how it's going as you're going through this. Jessica said, it's taking me to a site that says 10 museums to explore from home site. So I think one of the things that you can do there, Jessica, is that you can, it's encouraging you to explore. So you're kind of looking for Van Gogh's Starry Night information about that. And so if you use the search feature, and maybe the website that you're linking to is something that your students have some experience with already, but you could search for Van Gogh and see what you could find there. Yeah, April said that I wish I would have done this on my iPad to see how the kids would view it. So April, for sure, you can come back and save that link and check it out on your iPad later. And it's good to see you, April. Hi, we're on Cadre together. So, okay, so I'm going to stop you guys there. Well, I mean, you're free to keep going on the Amazing Race if you want, but as you know, with an Amazing Race, the idea is that there's routes, there's different legs of the race, and then there's detours, which, can be like fun little games that kids play along the way. And so the idea, we're going to parkour here for a second, okay? The idea here is with Google Forms that you're going to do is you're going to create not just one form. You're going to create a series of forms, and each form is like, that's your route for that leg of the race, okay? And then you'll also have other forms that are your detour forms. So you actually will create a whole series of forms for this. Now, that can get kind of messy. So to sort of wrap my brain around it, when I was working on the Lewis and Clark Amazing Race that I've started, I'm not finished with it yet, but that I've started, I charted out what I wanted my race to look like in a Google drawing. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you that. I just wanted to kind of know, here's my path, and this is what I want my race to look like. Now, this is something that for me as a teacher was like I was doing some mental calisthenics with this activity, but this would be a fantastic project also for your gifted kids to do as an extension activity for them to design an amazing race for their peers to follow along. So somebody said, is there a good bank of races created? Yes, there's a ton of races out there that are created, and you can take those races and use them as inspiration, make your own, or you can design your own. But I was like, hey, I want to make this suit my content. Oh, and somebody asked about Amazing Races. I think if you go on the Teachers Pay Teacher store, that people have them there, you can purchase various ones. So I went ahead and mapped out what I wanted my race to look like. I started with, okay, here's my first route. And then I'm going to create access codes for each route that allows the students to get in. They have to have that access code to get started. And then and that kind of builds in the fun of like the game, the game, they have the access codes. And then I've got like kind of a synopsis of what the content that I want them to get from doing that leg of the route. Then once they finish that route, then they go on to a detour, which is another Google form. So I kind of charted this out of each step, each route that I needed to make, and then each detour that I needed to make. And that, making this Google drawing, just making a map of it, which you don't have to make it on Google Drawings, you could make it on a piece of paper, but it did help me visualize exactly what I was going to be making with these Google forms. Then I went into to my Google Drive and I created all the forms. I created my first one, then I made a copy, and then I just kept making copies. And here's a little trick, guys, for if you want to quickly make copies. You can actually select by holding down on the command button more than one file at a time. And if you're making, like, if you're wanting to make multiple copies of things, you just can click, like, let's just say I actually needed 12 detours. Well, I can click 6 of these forms, come up here to my 3 little dots at the top of the screen, and I click make a copy. And then what it's going to do is it's going to copy all 6 of those forms. So now I have 12 forms. That instead of having to make a copy one by one by one by one. That makes sense. So my computer's being slow as it thinks about making the copies, but anyway, I love that little trick that you can make copies really quickly that way. So then I've got all of my forms, and then I'm ready to go in and start working on them. So let me show you what the first route, like the way it looks, and I want to talk a little bit about conditional formatting, which is kind of the magic in making these Amazing Race forms work. So when you go to make your first form for your race, you're going to want to obviously give it a title, create some sort of kind of fun picture in there, and then you are going to set it up with an access code. You'll want access codes at the beginnings of all your forms, which is fun because it's like that's what gets them onto the next thing. Now here's a hint: don't say password. If you say password, Google doesn't like it and it will like lock you out of stuff. So you don't want to use the word password. Use the term access code, and Google knows what you mean by access code. And so when you click on this and you click on your answer key, you're going to add the correct answer, which my access code for this first one is big. Okay, I was thinking big, wide, open spaces. That's why it said big. So big. And then I also added this conditional formatting, which is where I chose it's going to default to number, but instead I chose text, and then I chose contains, and it's got to have the word big in it. And if it doesn't, I typed in this message: sorry, try again. So this is the conditional formatting that you add to your questions using this answer key feature, so that will then allow the user to move on. If they didn't put in the correct access code, it won't let them move on to the next section. Pretty cool. Any questions about that? No. Okay. So once you've got that first access code part done in an Amazing Race form, then the next part is to add another section. So this is another next level skill I want you to know about in Google Forms. You can create sections so that when somebody pulls up their Google form, they don't see everything in one big, long, continuous running log. When you're doing quizzes with kids, this is a nice way of chunking up the questions just by adding sections. So that when a kid finishes one question, they don't see, oh my God, I still have all these five more things to answer, and it seems like so much. They don't even see that. They just see the next button, and then they click next, and then they've got the next question. But you can also use the sections feature for the Choose Your Own Adventure, and the Amazing Race, and the escape rooms. So I've added a section. To add a section, you click these 2 bars that look like equal signs, and that will add a section. And then here, I went ahead and I grabbed some text from Ducksters, which Ducksters, when you copy and paste it, it automatically creates a citation for you, which is really nice, so that you're citing your sources as you go along. So I grabbed some text that I want my students to use. I put it right here. I just copied it and pasted it into the description part of this section. And then now I've added a question that goes along with this text. They read the text, they answer this question. Now, my question, I've set my form up as a quiz, okay? So because it's set up as a quiz, I can do different things with it. I've got my answer key, and it's a multiple choice question, and I am going to go ahead and select which answer is the right answer for that quiz question. And then I'm going to give my students some different options for what happens next once they answer that question. By using this tool that you find in this 3 little dots down here called Go to Section Based on Answer. This is really key for these next level forms. Go to section based on answer. When you do that, when you go to the section based on your answer, I can say they chose the wrong question, I can send them right back up to this text. That was wrong, read it again, go back up to the text. So I did that. I did section 2 for all of the wrong answers. The right answer, I said go to section 3, and I had created the section 3 already. And so if they get the answer correct, then they get to go on to section 3, okay? And section 3 is another question. So on my next question, and I didn't add any more text to this section, I just gave another question. But I asked another question, same thing, gave the correct answer. If it's correct, they submit the form. If it's incorrect, they go back and they try again. So they're gonna always get that feedback of, did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? I'm gonna pause right here because I know you guys are taking a lot of this in, and I want you guys to just kind of look at the screen and see how that's all formatted with the features from the answer key while I look at my question I've got coming in here. Okay, would you click on the required button? Yes, I would use the required button on everything. I'd use the required button on everything on these forms. They're gonna have to do it to move on. That's a great question, thank you. Okay, so once you get to that point and it's ready to submit, we need to push them onto a detour, okay? So to do that, we've got another form set up, a detour form that we've created. And up here, this magic is gonna happen up here in the settings. So in your settings, you're going to want to not require sign-in from the users, okay? You're going to want to see the summary charts and text responses. That way that they can see what they got correct, and they'll be able to see like who's gotten it correct and that kind of thing. But by the time they get to the end, they have to have gotten it correct. The way we're setting this form up is you can't move on unless you got it correct, okay? For presentation mode, you can show a progress bar here. I recommend using that because the progress bar will let the students know how much more they've got to get done to get through that route. Do not click the shuffle question order because that won't make any sense. You want to keep that one unchecked. And then you don't want to show a link to submit another response. Okay, magic time. It's this confirmation message. So once they get to the point where they can submit the form because they've got the right answer to the last question, you're going to paste a link to your detour form. So you paste the link here, kind of congratulating them that they get to move on, and then they go on to that next detour form. And this is how you're going to set up every single form. You just do this, repeat, do this, repeat with each form, just constantly moving them forward to the next form. So I've got some more questions coming in. Can you show us again how to get to the section-based answer? Yes, I can. So I'm going to show how to get to the section-based answer. So when you are, let me scroll upwards a little bit. So here you're ready to make a new section, and after you've done your access code. So to get to that, to add a section, from your menu choice over here on the right-hand side of your screen, you're going to click this little equals button, which that is how you add a section. by clicking that. And it'll automatically name those sections for you, or number those sections for you, section 2, section 3, etc. And then to determine whether or not you have that conditional formatting of where to go based on your answer, you're going to, on your question, on these 3 little dots here in the bottom right-hand corner, and that should be required. Oops, I should make that required. You're going to click the 3 little dots and then go to section based on answer. And then it'll give you these drop-down menus that let you determine where you want people to go. Okay, somebody said, I missed the part where you set your form up as a quiz. So I didn't go over that in this presentation, but to set it up as a quiz, which is something you would do early on, up here in the settings tab, you go to settings and then you click quizzes, and then you toggle to make this a quiz. So that's how you do that. Is this resumable? If they do not finish the race during class time period. Oh, that's a good question. And honestly, like, since I haven't done this with kids, I don't quite know how to answer that. With older kids, what I'm thinking you could always do is have them like bookmark the form. So like they could save the link to the form that they're on if they were, you know, going on to another form. With younger kids, you might have them keep a journal or something to make note of where they're at. And then if you had to provide them with the link, then you could, something like that. But yeah, that's a good question. I mean, if they keep the, when they open the form, they're going to open it up on their iPads in Safari. I'm thinking through the lens of elementary students. The older kids might be on their MacBooks using Chrome, but for the younger kids, they're going to open it up in Safari. So as long as they don't close out of that form, that tab, they should be okay. Can students skip the detour? So that's up to you. That's how you design your form. The link that you put in that submission field, which is up here in this cogwheel, again, under presentation, the link that you put there at the end of that is what determines where your students move on from here. So if you link to your detour, they have to go to the detour, they have to do the detour. If you don't, I mean, I guess the answer is yes. Is there a way to stop them from just picking answers? Do they have to review material before making a new choice? Oh, I love that question. So we're gonna actually, I think later in the presentation, hopefully I have time, we're gonna review a way that an educator has figured out to force the participants to do more with the content. So, so I'm gonna show you guys that in a second. I think that as long as you keep making them go back to the text and make them reread it, and set that up as where they go based on their answer, that is one way. Obviously, it's multiple choice. I mean, they're going to at a certain point go, well, I clicked this, I clicked this, I clicked this, and so I know what you mean. That's always tough when kids just click. Do students have to do this in Chrome? So we found no. It'll open in, their forms will open in Safari and they'll work fine in Safari. Okay, all right, so lots of good stuff. Guys, I could spend, again, like a whole, I could do like a whole entire PD just on how to make these amazing race things. So I'm not gonna do that because I do wanna introduce you guys to a couple of other really cool things that you can do with Google Forms. So, but hopefully that kind of inspires you to play. Oh, and one thing I did want to just say is that my guess is there's going to be some people who are sitting out there going, I don't think this is for me. That seems like a lot of work. Why would you ever do it? Well, one thing I will say is this. Just challenging yourself to create something like this is going to teach you how Google Forms really works. All those behind the scenes hidden features to making your quizzes and your exit tickets really robust and have a lot of ability, again, to get kids to read more, get them to write more. So, so definitely, you know, it's like calisthenics for your brain. Try it out. I've added a lot of things here to add like little helpful videos that I found online. Steph Pearson created this amazing guide to building your own amazing race, and it walks you through step by step. And so I've linked that in the Google Doc I shared at the beginning of the webinar. So if this is something you really want to do, I was using her guide just verbatim. And yeah, I made some mistakes when I beta tested it. Things didn't always work and I had to think and try to figure it out, but I was learning the whole time, which is always so exciting just to learn something new. So, so I have screenshots here in my presentation of the things that I was showing you about how to make the question types, how to add the sections, and what to do. So that's all in this presentation that you'll have for later. So, okay, the next thing I wanted us to try out was a virtual escape room. And so I'm going to give you guys, this one is really cool. I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes. And if you need to also like fill up your coffee mug or something during that time, you can. But this is a Harry Potter virtual escape room. And the link is in the Google Doc that I shared with you guys. But if you didn't get it, I'll go ahead and post the link in our chat as well. Okay. So I'm going to make sure I send this out to everybody. This is to the Harry Potter virtual escape room. So you guys can kind of try this out and see how it works. It's really cool. And I'm going to, I'm not going to quite start the timer because I've got a few questions coming in. Somebody said, what is the reason for making a quiz? Will the forms function as an amazing race without adding the quiz feature? You have to add the quiz feature in order to get the answer key functionality. So quiz just opens up different functions that aren't there without that enabled. That's a good question, Lisa. Krista said, will you share the document again? I joined a little late. Yeah, Krista, if you, I will find that link and I will post it for sure. Okay. So Amanda just asked a really great question, which was, can you add a place for students to explain their reasoning? And I'm going to show in a slide here pretty soon how one educator did just that. They added like a text box feature, like where they asked a question and asked for a paragraph response, and that would require the student to explain why they chose what they chose. And it was really great. They had, so now he had done it somehow so that they had to type a certain amount. So I was having to write like 3 sentences to get through it. I haven't looked up exactly how to do that, but I'm going to. I know I can use the Google Help Center to figure it out. But that, I thought that was really cool for saying, hey, you've got to write something. No, that's not enough. You got to write more. So it does have the capability to do that. Okay, so let's move on. So with the virtual escape rooms, you can use those for like vocabulary review, holiday activities, front-loading activities, teaching digital citizenship, reviewing content, reinforcing logic and reasoning skills. I'm sorry, I'm going really fast, you guys, because I know we're like running close to running out of time. But there are tons of virtual escape rooms out there right now. So many. Some of them you have to pay for. Some of them are free. They vary in quality. But there's nothing like being able to make your own that's unique to your group of students. So that Harry Potter one is an example of one that was made, and it kind of went viral. But one of the things that I thought was really neat that I saw when I was exploring different virtual escape rooms that you use Google Forms for was somebody who created a Google website. They like kind of app smashed it together. They use their website to sort of give a lot of background knowledge that kids needed to create, to go through the escape room and to create that atmosphere, because an escape room always has like a story behind it. And then they you can embed a Google Forms into a Google site. And so then they had the escape room form embedded into the site. So the difference between an escape room and an Amazing Race is that Amazing Race, you're going to make lots of different forms. In an escape room, it's all just one form, and you're using that logic branching you're using the feature of adding sections, and that you move on to a section if you get this answer right. So skills that I showed you from the Choose Your Own Adventure, you use the same type of thing here in an escape room, but it's all just one form. So when you plan your escape room, you want to think about like, what do you want the students to know? Is it something that they've already been taught and it's practice with that, or is it a rehearsal for something? Then you'll also want to think about what the different tasks are you want to do. You've got to plan it from the beginning to like visualize it. I love Google Drawings as a mapping tool for figuring that kind of stuff out. I use that all the time. And then you are going to design that story, and it's just, these are such fun ways to like stretch your own creativity, but also consider this being a project where students design their own escape room. This would be for older kids, I would say 5th grade and up, but they could plan their own virtual escape room, and that would be just an amazing way for them to really think through all of the like digital literacy that is needed in order to do this. Because if you think about how many skills you have to pull in, it's a lot, but kids can do it. They can do it. So there's a tutorial that I've got here that will take you through how to plan and create your virtual escape room, and it's linked in the Google Doc as well. Got a question here, Q&A. Sorry, every time I click a link, it takes me out. It looks like you are recording this. Will there be a way to see it later? Yes, so we are recording it, and it'll be available in the on-demand professional development on Shawnee Mission staff page. So I'm sorry that it's kicking you out. I'm wondering if you could minimize your Zoom screen and minimize, or, you know, kind of make your Chrome screen a little bit smaller so you could see both at the same time. Okay, so choose your own adventure stories. This is the one that has this example here of a choose your own adventure story is the one where the students have to explain their reasoning. And it's here at the bottom of the screen. It's this SS salvage. And it's a choose your own adventure where you're on like a ship and you're trying to decide how, you know, how not to die. So it's pretty cool. And Sylvia Duckworth made a step-by-step tutorial that teaches you how to make a choose your own adventure story. But basically the idea with the choose your own adventure story and how it kind of lines up with the Amazing Race is that but is a little different, is that it uses logic branching where you're going to end up having different endings. So it becomes a little bit more complicated as far as planning out the different sections. So you're gonna definitely want to create a map of your choose your own adventure story of, if I make this decision, this happens, or this happens. And then from here, if I make this decision, this happens, this happens, this happens. So then you're using that conditional formatting of go to section based on answer for every single response. So on this one that Justin Bickler created, he made his students write an answer with their choose your own adventure that has enough text that while they're, and it's really making them use language. You know, as I was going through, I actually went through his choose your own adventure story, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool how it's forcing me to write why I'm making the choices that I'm making all throughout the presentation. So you could, that presentation is linked on the Google Docs that I shared with you guys. Okay, I'm going so fast. I knew that this was going to happen, but hopefully you got the sense of at least how to create that go-to section based on answer, that skill. When we were talking about the Amazing Race, that skill works for the escape room and the choose your own adventure. Okay, so time to practice. You know, when you have 3 minutes left of the session, but hopefully you will take the time to practice, and you can count it as professional development time. So choose your choice. Do an escape room, an Amazing Race, or choose your own adventure story. Have a growth mindset. It's not going to work the first time. It's not. You're going to fail, but you're going to fail forward. And you're going to learn from doing it. There's YouTube tutorials out the wazoo. I mean, there's so many YouTube tutorials. And you can find, and then I've linked a bunch of tutorials in my doc. Also, I would say the Google Help Center is just amazing as far as all the answers. And when you're done and when you make something, share it. Share it with your peers. Share it with me. You can find me on Outlook. Email me. You can find me on WebEx. Email it or message it to me. I would love nothing more than to try out your whatever you make in Google Forms, whatever you create, to get your kids excited about learning. I mean, this whole thing is, again, it's one of those things where you go, why would I ever spend all that time to make something like that? Well, really, honestly, it's going to force you to learn to use the tools. And also when your students know that you made it, that you created that experience for them, there's nothing like that. It's such a special joy to have kids get so excited about something that you created, an experience you created and designed for them. So, so give it a try. And then I would love nothing more than for you to try this survey. I do think that this link works. I need the feedback so I know how to improve. If you guys are ever going to be forced to sit through a session of PD with me again, I want it to be better than this one. So this link here is my survey. This is a #1 here at the end of it. So I'm going to really quickly look and see what questions we have. I cannot click links in your Google Doc. Did you make a copy of it And if you click on them, they should open up if you're working, Courtney, in Chrome. You probably want to be working in Chrome. I don't know if you are or not. That can sometimes cause maybe links not to work. Not everything is also hyperlinked. If it's hyperlinked, it should be like that blue color and underlined. And if it's still not working, you can always take your cursor, highlight over it, copy it, and then paste it into another tab. Justin said something about being kicked out at the first session and couldn't get back in. I'm so sorry, Justin, or oh, this is Judith, sorry. Judith, I'm so sorry you were kicked out. I apologize. I did have somebody ask about Zoom webinars. So Zoom webinar, this is something that, that I purchased as a way to try out the webinar format, just to be able to give feedback, hopefully, you know, to the district about how I liked, you know, how this platform worked for delivering professional development. And I liked some of the features that it had with like polling and the Q&A. I thought that was really cool. And I could see how that would be useful in classes. So webinars do cost money. It's $40 a month. So I just got it for like the 1 month. So since I'm a coach and I don't have to buy all the stuff that you have to buy as a teacher for the classroom, you guys are my classroom. So it was totally worth it to do that. Let's see, if you have any other questions, post them. But you guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I really had a great time hosting this. I hope I gave you guys some ideas that you can do with your students to take their learning to the next level and get them excited. Bye. Have a great day of learning.